Emma Parker woke up that morning with an unusual tightness in her chest, the kind that made her pause halfway through brushing her hair and stare at her own reflection. She couldn't name it, but something felt off, as if the day was quietly carrying a secret she wasn't prepared to hear. She tried to ignore the feeling, blaming it on stress or the cold Seattle weather. Yet the closer it came to evening, the heavier the feeling grew. For the last few months, Emma felt her life drifting in a direction she hadn't chosen. She loved her husband, Daniel. Everyone knew that, but life had changed him. Long hours at his engineering job left him exhausted and far away. Even when he was sitting right beside her at the dinner table, their conversations had become short, their laughter rare, their connection slipping like sand through fingers Emma couldn't close tightly enough. She tried to be understanding, patient, supportive. But the more she waited for the warmth to return, the colder the house felt. That was why, when Michael Foster texted her a simple, "Hey, I'm in town," she froze. She hadn't heard from him in 8 years. They had met in college in Boston, where they studied literature together and bonded over quiet libraries, late-night coffee, and the kind of life dreams young people speak as if the world will always bend to them. He had been her closest friend, never romantic, but deeply connected. He had been her mirror for ideas, fears, ambitions. Life had sent him away to Toronto for work, and they lost touch naturally. No hard feelings, no drama. So the message surprised her. A soft, warm surprise she didn't expect to feel. When she replied, "Do you want to grab coffee?" She told herself it was harmless. And it truly was harmless intentions, honest curiosity, a desire for conversation she had missed. But the universe didn't follow her. Rules. Michael showed up at her doorstep that afternoon with the same open smile she remembered. He looked a little older, a little wiser, but still familiar enough to make her chest ache with nostalgia. She welcomed him inside, and they sat on the couch talking as if no years had passed at all. They talked about everything: their jobs, their disappointments, relationships that didn't work out, goals they abandoned, goals they still hoped to chase. Michael listened to her the same way he always had, not with judgment or impatience, but with complete, undivided attention. He remembered details she had forgotten she ever told him. He remembered the way her eyes lit up when she spoke about writing. He remembered the type of coffee she liked. Something inside her cracked open a little dot as the gray sky outside darkened. The rain began to fall in sheets, tapping rhythmically against the windows. The room felt safe and warm, and that safety made Emma admit things she hadn't said out loud in a long time. She told him how she felt stuck, how she felt invisible at times, how she feared her marriage was slipping away, even though she still loved her husband deeply. Michael didn't interrupt. He didn't try to fix anything. He just listened, really listened. When she finished speaking, her voice barely above a whisper, Michael leaned slightly closer, not touching her, not crossing any line, simply offering his presence the way a friend who knows your heart would. "Emma," he said softly, "are you happy?" She hadn't expected the question. It hit her like a gust of wind she wasn't standing firmly enough to resist. Happiness. Such a simple word. Yet she hadn't thought about it without guilt for years. Her throat tightened with emotions she didn't have the strength to hold back anymore. "I don't know," she whispered. Michael nodded slowly, as if he had expected that answer, but wished he hadn't. The moment carried so much unspoken truth, so much raw vulnerability, that the room felt suspended in time. Emma wiped the corner of her eye quickly, embarrassed, but Michael didn't judge her. He didn't even move. He just held her gaze gently. She thought the moment might break her, and then, just as she opened her mouth to say something, anything, the sound of the front door unlocking cut through the room. Emma's heart stopped. Daniel stepped inside, shaking rain off his coat, eyes tired, hair damp. He shut the door, dropped his keys into the
Hello,
bowl,
I'm
and
so
then
glad you
turned
could join me
toward the
today.
living room.
This is my little
Toward them,
sanctuary where I do my
Emma felt
best
her
work.
entire body go cold. In that split second,
Good morning.
she
Morning,
imagined
love.
everything falling apart. She imagined anger erupting, accusations flying, misunderstandings breaking the bond she had fought to protect. She imagined Daniel thinking the worst when the truth was painfully innocent, yet emotionally complicated. Michael sat upright, clearly aware of how the scene must look. He didn't say a word. Daniel stood there for a moment, taking in the sight of his wife on the couch with another man who looked at her with concern in his eyes. His expression wasn't explosive. It wasn't even angry. It was something far more heartbreaking. Tired disappointment mixed with a sadness. He didn't try to hide. Emma swallowed hard. Daniel, this isn't what it looks like. He held up a hand gently, not to silence her, but to calm her. I know, Emma. I'm not assuming anything. That surprised her more than anger would have. Daniel stepped closer, studying Michael briefly, then turning his attention back to Emma. The air between the three of them tightened, filled with things none of them were prepared to discuss, but could no longer avoid. Daniel exhaled slowly, setting his briefcase down. I should have been here earlier, he said, voice soft but trembling at the edges. Not tonight, I mean. These last months, Emma blinked. Stunned, Michael looked at Daniel with a respectful nod, but he stayed silent. Daniel moved closer until he stood directly in front of Emma, his eyes reflecting everything he felt hurt. Fear, love, and confusion tangled together. But there was no rage, no blaming, no shattering, only pain. Emma, he said in a quiet voice that cracked, I think we need to talk. All of us. Emma stared at him, confused. All of us. Daniel nodded. Yes, I'm not here to fight. I'm not here to accuse you. I can't pretend I don't see what's happening. Her breath hitched. Daniel, I didn't. He sat down across from them, but leaned forward, keeping his tone steady. You're lonely. You've been lonely for a long time. I didn't want to see it. I buried myself in work and told myself it was for us, when really, I was running away from the pressure of trying to make everything perfect. Emma felt tears burn her eyes again, this time from guilt. But when I walked in, Daniel continued, voice softer now. I realized something. Someone noticed your pain. Someone listened when I didn't. And instead of feeling threatened, he paused to steady his breath. I felt ashamed that it wasn't me. Michael finally spoke, voice low and careful. Nothing happened, Daniel. We were just talking. I know, Daniel said immediately. I could see that the moment I walked in. I'm not blind. But I also saw the way she looked at you. And the way you looked at her, not in a romantic way, in a human way. To people who understand each other. Emma covered her mouth with her hand. She didn't want any of this. She didn't want Daniel to hurt. She didn't want to feel confused.
Hi there, welcome to my cozy little corner.
She just wanted connection
it's so
again
nice to
with her
have you
husband,
here.
the man she still loved.
Hello
Daniel
everyone,
leaned
welcome
back,
back.
but
I'm
didn't
so
look
glad
away.
you're here.
I don't
Today
want
I have
this
something
moment to turn
special
into
to share
something
with you.
ugly.
Hi
I don't wanna lose you
everyone,
because I
welcome
was
back.
too proud to admit the
Today I'm
truth.
going to explain
Emma
how this
whispered.
works.
What truth?
It's simpler than you think.
That I haven't been
Thank you so
present,
much for
and
watching.
you
I
needed
hope
someone
this
to
was
lean
helpful.
on.
Please feel
And
free to
instead of
reach out
getting
with
angry,
any questions.
I want to be part of the conversation. I want to understand what you're feeling. I want to stay no matter how hard this is.
Hello everyone, thanks
Emma
for
wiped
joining.
her
I'm
eyes,
thrilled to share our latest updates. Our
overwhelmed
new
by
approach
how
streamlines
unexpected his
collaboration.
reaction
Let's explore the
was.
details together.
Daniel extended his hand toward her, not demanding, not pressuring, but hoping. Please, he said softly, don't push me away. Not yet. The room felt fragile, like one wrong breath could shatter everything. Michael sat quietly, giving them space but staying present because Daniel had asked him to be. Emma looked at Daniel's hand, then at Michael, who offered a reassuring nod as if telling her it was okay to choose honesty over fear. She took Daniel's hand. And when she did, Daniel whispered words that froze the moment in her memory forever. I'm not here to lose you. I'm here to join whatever truth we need to face together. The rain pressed harder against the windows. The house felt different now. 3 hearts caught in the same storm. Unexpected, unplanned, but impossibly real.
I really believe this
The
is
night
the key
air
to
had
moving
cooled the
forward.
city streets
It's about
outside.
connecting with what truly
But
matters.
inside Emma Parker's living room,
I've been thinking
a
about
storm
this
of
a lot
emotions
lately,
still raged quietly.
and I just wanted
After
to share
Daniel
it with
had
you.
entered that afternoon and
I hope
revealed
this
a
message
side of
brings you
himself
peace.
Emma hadn't
Take
seen
care.
in months. The room felt charged with something both fragile and powerful. She sat on the couch, her fingers intertwined with Daniel's, feeling the warmth of his hand, the heartbeat beneath her palm. A reminder of the man she had once known so well and still did, deep down. Across from them, Michael Foster sat on the armchair. Silent, but his presence was steady, respectful, and aware of the delicate balance they now shared. For the first time in years, Emma realized how much she had missed being truly seen, truly understood. Not only by the man she married, but also by the friend who had once mirrored her heart. Michael had never crossed boundaries, but the comfort he offered reminded her of emotions she had forgotten existed: laughter, trust, and the thrill of honest, open conversation. She hadn't known she needed it until that moment. And now, with Daniel beside her, she realized that what she had missed most wasn't just Michael's company, was connection. Real connection. She had been yearning for it, and somehow both men offered it. In different but equally important ways, Daniel broke the silence first. Leaning forward, his voice calm but full of emotion. "Emma, I know I've been absent. I've buried myself in work and routine, convincing myself it was
life
for
can
our
be so
future, for
unpredictable,
stability.
but I've
But
learned
I
to
see
just keep
now that I've
going,
been hiding
one
from the
step at a
hardest
time.
part, being present for you, for us. And I can't undo the time lost, but I can start now if you let me." Emma swallowed hard, a lump forming in her throat. I felt so alone, Daniel. I love you, I really do. But sometimes I didn't feel like you were here with me."
I've been reflecting on
Her
this for
voice
some
cracked
time,
slightly,
but
and
sharing
Daniel
it now
reached
feels
out,
right.
brushing a wet
Thank you
strand
for
of hair
listening.
from her forehead. His touch was gentle, grounding, like an anchor in the storm. Michael shifted in his seat, his eyes soft. "Emma, you don't have to explain. I'm just glad you're telling him. You too. You both deserve honesty. That's all I want."
I think it's
His
important to
voice was
share these
steady,
stories,
sincere.
to connect with
There
others
was
on a
no
deeper
jealousy,
level.
no tension born of rivalry, only a shared understanding that Emma's happiness mattered above all. Daniel nodded,
It's in these
looking at
quiet
Michael with
moments
a
that we
mixture
find
of
true
respect and
clarity.
acknowledgement. "Thank you for being here. And thank you for
It's in these
respecting
quiet
what we
moments
have,
that we
what
find true
Emma and I
clarity.
have." I realize now that life isn't about holding grudges or assuming the worst. It's about seeing truth, even when it's messy. The words hung in the air, heavy but cleansing. Emma felt a wave of relief, mixed with lingering tension. She realized that this moment, unexpected, strange, and full of vulnerability, was a turning point. It wasn't a scandal, a betrayal, or a triangle destined to collapse. It was a moment of honesty, a chance to rebuild something stronger than before. And for the first time in months, she felt hope fluttering inside her chest. Daniel's voice broke through her thoughts again. "Emma, I want you to know something. What happened today, me walking in, it's not about anger. It's about awareness, about realizing that I've taken your presence for granted. That's my fault, and I want to change that. I want to be better for you, for us." Emma's lips trembled, a mixture of tears and relief making her heart feel unsteady. I didn't want to hurt anyone. I didn't want you to think I was unfaithful. I never crossed that line." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "But I've missed you, Daniel. And I've missed feeling seen." Daniel nodded slowly, understanding her completely without judgment. "And I missed you too. Every single day I've been distracted by work. I missed your laughter, your warmth. The way you look at me like we're still that young couple dreaming together. I didn't realize how much I had pushed us apart until today." Michael leaned forward slightly, careful not to intrude but unable to remain silent. "Seeing the two of you together, even like this, makes me realize how strong your bond is. You're both willing to face the truth, to confront fear, to open your hearts. That's rare, Emma. That's beautiful." Emma glanced at Michael, appreciating his words, feeling gratitude for the role he had played in reminding her of herself. But she turned back to Daniel, because ultimately, he was her life, her partner, the man who had stood by her side through years of shared memories, struggles, and dreams. "Daniel, I want us to find that connection again. I don't want the distance to keep growing between us." He reached for her hand again, squeezing it gently. "We will, I promise. And today isn't just about recognizing mistakes, it's about creating a new understanding, about honesty, communication, and presence, about choosing each other every day, even when it's hard. The rain outside had slowed to a gentle drizzle, the sound against the windows soothing and rhythmic. Emma felt herself relaxing slightly, the tension easing from her shoulders. For the first time in months, she felt safe in expressing her emotions without fear of judgment or conflict. And Daniel, sitting across from her, looked present, attentive, and fully willing to engage with her truth. That mattered more than anything else. Michael rose slightly from his seat, his presence still calm and comforting. "I think my part here is done for now," he said softly, smiling. "I came to see you, to check in, to remind you of what you've always known about yourself. I don't need to stay. You two have the work to do together." Emma felt a pang of bittersweet gratitude. "Thank you, Michael, for being here, for understanding, for not judging." She paused, feeling tears welling in her eyes again. "You reminded me of myself, the person I was before life became so routine, before I forgot how to be vulnerable, because eyes were kind. That's what friends are for. But I see now that your heart belongs to Daniel, and that's how it should be. You both deserve the chance to rebuild what's been missing." Daniel nodded, his hand still holding Emma's. "Michael, thank you for being honest, for being respectful. And thank you for reminding me of what we need to nurture every day." Michael smiled one last time and rose fully, preparing to leave. "Just remember, connection isn't about avoiding mistakes. It's about embracing truth. And that's something that two of you are ready for." With that, he stepped out into the night, leaving the door slightly ajar as the city lights reflected off the wet streets. For a moment, the room felt empty without him, yet it also felt fuller than it had in years. The absence of judgment, the presence of honesty, and the renewed awareness of each other's hearts created a new atmosphere, fragile, but powerful hope for rebuilding trust and intimacy. Emma leaned her head on Daniel's shoulder, letting herself breathe. "I've missed this," she whispered. "I've missed feeling like we're on the same team." Daniel kissed the top of her head gently. "I've missed it too, and we will find our way back, together. No secrets, no walls. Just us." The night stretched quietly around them, not with tension or fear, but with understanding. They talked long into the evening, sharing thoughts and emotions that had been buried under routine, silence, and unspoken frustrations. They laughed softly, reminisced, and even argued gently about trivial things. But each disagreement ended in understanding rather than resentment. Every word, every glance, every small gesture became a bridge to the connection they had lost over time. Emma realized something profound. Life didn't have to be perfect, and neither did their love. What mattered was the willingness to face discomfort, to speak honestly, and to let each other in completely. She felt her heart swell, not with reckless passion or drama, but with steady, enduring love that had endured time, absence, and neglect, and was now ready to grow stronger through honesty. Daniel looked at her, eyes reflecting relief and determination. "We're starting over," he said quietly. "Not forgetting the past, but learning from it. And I promise, I'll be here fully. No distractions, no excuses." Emma nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. But this time they were tears of relief and hope. "I believe you," she said softly. "I believe we can do this together." The clock ticked on unnoticed. The rain had stopped entirely, leaving a quiet calm in the air. The room glowed softly with the city lights outside and the intimacy of shared vulnerability inside. Emma felt safe, cherished, and seen. Daniel was present. He was real. He was hers again. And though Michael had left, his presence lingered in a positive way, a reminder that life had different people playing different roles at different times. He wasn't a threat. He was a guide, a mirror, a friend who had helped her see herself more clearly. And that clarity allowed her to step fully into the renewed love she shared with Daniel. They sat together in silence for a while, hands intertwined, simply existing in the moment. No words were necessary. The honesty, the vulnerability, and the renewed connection spoke louder than anything else. It was enough to fill the space with warmth, safety, and hope for the days ahead. Emma felt a sense of gratitude she hadn't experienced in years. Gratitude for Daniel's willingness to face his own mistakes, for Michael's understanding, presence, and most of all, for the love that had endured time and trials. She realized that life would always have challenges, distractions, and moments of uncertainty. But tonight had shown her that real love was resilient, adaptable, and capable of growth when nurtured with honesty, empathy, and courage. Daniel gently brushed a tear from her cheek and whispered, "This is just the beginning." Emma smiled through her tears, feeling the weight of fear lift.